Hey everybody, long time no see. That sounded weird, but that's alright. If you're seeing this, thank you for saying sub to me, even though I've basically been a dead channel for the past year or so, if not longer. It's been a while. But yeah, if you haven't seen my channel in recent years and somehow, you know, the algorithms worked in my favor, yeah, I have pretty much switched entirely to Twitch now, where for me to, you know, where I make my content. But I still come to YouTube a lot to watch the people's content. I still love, you know, the art of making a good video about cool stuff. You know, I still watch the bigger guys like My Life in Gaming Historian stuff. I still support the people that I was friends with and worked with before, like Joe Drilling and Him Name Different Game, Console Wars. But I've also made some new friends throughout years on Twitch that do YouTube stuff. People like Hungry Gorilla and Renaissance, and most importantly to this video, Nefarious Wes. So Nefarious Wes does a lot of cool retro gaming stuff, and he did a video the past couple days called my 5 most expensive Sega Genesis games. And you know me, I'm the Sega boy. You know, Sega's a giant part of my life and my history with gaming and stuff. And I kind of became interested in, you know, what are my stuff, because he was talking about some of the games he had, and I'm like, damn, in terms of what the prices were going for now. You know, for me, I don't keep up with prices that often once I have a game, because I just don't feel the need to. Once I know the price of a game, move on. You know, what's the point in knowing that my game's worth $100 more? I'm not planning to sell it. I didn't buy it to sell it, so whatever. But I also got morbidly curious, I can't lie. So with that, I thought it'd be kind of fun to jump back to YouTube for a minute and do kind of a fun video, as a video response, since he was looking to see if people wanted to. So I thought I'd take him up on the offer. Before I get into the actual top 5, though, I want to briefly mention 2 games that don't qualify for 2 different reasons. The first one is Arrow the Acrobat 2, which does go for around 160, 180, it looks like, roughly, which is a lot more than what I paid for it. I only paid $45 for my copy. I got a cart manual for about $40 once I got really lucky at a Craigslist pickup and got a insert, not the box. I had to find a generic sports game, but I got just the box for $1, which was hype getting me in. That's shaved off quite a bit of pennies on it. It's actually not a bad game. It's actually a decently fun platformer that I've played. I've never played the first one, weirdly. I played the second one. You know, one of the better-ish mascot platformers that wasn't Sonic at the time on the system. But the reason, as if you may have seen it, is that my copy is not in the bestest shape in the world, which doesn't bother me at all, even a little bit. Again, value is not, you know, condition or not everything to me, but because of that, I would say it's not worth regular market value for the copies I was seeing. And it would, I think, make my number 5 choice more pertinent to that pricing. We'll get to number 5 in a second. The other one is, I don't know if this even actually came packaged with the game. When I finally found one of these, very luckily, it came with the game, and it seems like it may have, but it may not. There's barely any information. It's very hard to track down actual official item, and it's so rare, in fact, that I can't even give you a good price point, which is why I wouldn't want to include it in any way, shape, or form. But this is the Innovation Smash Controller, made for only one game for the Sega Genesis, Mallet Legends Whack-A-Critter, or as it was known as original Taiwanese name, just Mallet Legend. It is what it looks like. It is a whack-a-mole controller for a whack-a-mole video game. This is much more common, but you do find this Whack-A-Critter game all around stores. I don't think it actually works without a Sega Genesis controller. I've never tried. You can tell how, like, unlicensed it is, because, you know, you got the brochure-style manual, you know, kind of a cheap small text manual, and you got, like, your unlicensed cartridge and stuff. It's got, like, you know, like, label. Doesn't say anything about, you know, it tells you it's made in Taiwan. But the actual controller is just literally this. It's, you know, it's not actually as big as you think. It's just this. You just, in the game, you would just hit buttons to match up with enemies on screen and try to beat them. It's a short game. It's maybe like 20 minutes long if you're playing it without really losing many times over. I know this is like sort of rambly, but it's actually kind of fun. It's unfortunate that this controller is so rare. It's actually a pretty fun little game if you can get your hands on the controller for it. The reason I bring all that up is because when I bought mine, and the other copy this guy had, he had 2 now, it looked like it came with an unlabeled cartridge of a Whack-A-Critter game, I can't confirm that it did or not. I don't know why they'd have unlabeled versions, but it's not. You can find unlabeled ones on eBay too. You just can't find the controller. So I can't confirm, and I can't confirm a price for the actual controller if it came bundled with it. I can't really count it, but it's too cool not to share. I need to stream that. I've never streamed that game. I need to fix that. But let's get to the actual list real quick. I might not put footage with this. I haven't decided yet. I don't know how lazy I'm gonna be. So if there's footage, I guess I decided I was gonna not be lazy. But number 5 is Splatterhouse 2, which it goes for roughly around 160 to 200, depending on timing and stuff. I do not have the registration cards. My version's not worth quite as much, but it is in nice shape. Basically, this is a bigger, badder version of Splatterhouse 1. Splatterhouse 3 that would come later is a little cheaper and plays actually pretty differently, in my opinion, from Splatterhouse 2. But this, genuinely, one of my favorite games on the Sega Genesis. It plays absolutely flawlessly, looks incredible, sounds incredible. I already loved Splatterhouse 1 to begin with on TurboGrafx when I found it through the Wii Virtual Console, and when I finally got my hands on it. 'Cause I never played it until I got my hands on an actual copy. I was in love pretty much from minute one. It took me a little bit of time to beat it, but it was worth every second. What is interesting is I think out of all the games on this list, this is the one I paid the most for. I paid about $120 for mine, so it hasn't gone up too much in the couple of years I've had it since. But it's totally worth it. It genuinely is an incredibly good game. I don't know if there's any, you can play this in a cheaper manner if you can get a hold of a Splatterhouse for PS3 or Xbox 360. You can unlock all 3 of the Splatterhouse games in that. So if you don't want to pay official pricing on it, go for that, but it is totally worth playing. Number 4, this is one of the weirdest ones. I think I paid $50 back in the day for this. I probably don't have access to the message anymore. I don't know, but this is insane to me. This goes for this much now, but it is Skeleton Crew from Core Design. I think this only came out on Genesis in the US, and I think it came out on the Amiga CD32 as well, and it probably had computer versions. But those are the only ones that I know of specifically. I do not believe this came out on the Super Nintendo. Although, correct me if I'm wrong. I might very well be wrong. But this goes for around $225 to $250. Probably because it's cardboard, which means it was a late release. And it is actually a pretty solid game. It's an isometric shooter, which, if you know me, I'm not big on the isometric games, but this one is built for isometric. It plays pretty decently. It's got co-op, which I'm really into. And this copy is in really nice shape. It's actually when I got this, it was still sealed, but the top was popped off, so I didn't unseal it. But I mean, like, everything in this is was super well kept. Like, whoever owned this, and it was from a collector actually, back in the day. Everything in here was just beautifully kept. Like, he never touched this game outside of playing it. Like, he kept everything really nice. I've never really given this more than an hour of time, so I can't really say how good it is, too far into it, but from what I've played, it's definitely fun. It's one of those games that definitely is better co-op than it is single player, but I don't know if it's $250 fun for a complete copy. But this is one of those ones that blew my mind when I got a hold of it, when I was checking pricing and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately expensive. But if you have a chance to check it out, you may dig it if you're into the, co-op-y isometric era of shooters like this. Number 3, I mean, this is the big infamous one. This is the one that, one of the 2 that everybody who collects for Genesis knows about, and that is Musha. Now, Musha was cool in the sense that I got it for way cheaper than it was for now. I paid about $180, between $100 for the cart and $80 for the box and manual. And it's part of the Elise series, if you're not familiar. They've had different names. One game was released as Musha, which I don't think it says. Yeah, it's a metallic uniframe super hybrid armor. They had another game in the US called Power Strike for the Master System that was the original Elise. And then Robo Elise came out as Robo Elise in the US. So they've named every game in the series different names. There's, and back in the day, there was no way, unless you were super in the know, that all these games tied together. But that said, Musha is a phenomenal shooter. If you're into shmups, You know, there's a reason this game has the pedigree that it does. It's not my favorite shmup on the Genesis. It's probably not even my favorite shmup in the Elise series. I think they would go to Robo Elise. But they're tough. They're tough as nails. I don't know why this one is the one that goes for so much. I think it's probably you know, in the circles, Elise has that pedigree, and it's an earlier release, so I think it's a bit harder to come by. But I don't know. I'm always curious how certain things become as popular as they are. Sorry about the phone ringing. But this one right here, like, you know, back in the day, it was still the expensive one. This is still the one that went for a lot of money and would have the pedigree. But I'm glad I got it back in the day as opposed to having to try to catch up now. But yeah, it's a solid game. It's probably one of the few expensive ones that I own that I, like, don't adore, or have, like, a lot of, you know, I pay a lot for it type of thing. But yeah, you know, this is the one that didn't surprise me when I was... This and the other one that I'm going to show at the end is... These two didn't surprise me much. Now this one's crazy. This is Punisher, Sega Genesis. Now, there is a reason why I'm doing this one second. You'll probably figure it out pretty quickly. But this is probably the best story. I pieced this game together hard. So, my first part with this game was buying the cartridge itself, and I have most of the price stickers still on everything. So this was at a pawn shop for $25, which is, you know, not the best looking cart, but $25 at the time was about 40. I was pretty pumped about that. And then I was at a retro game store maybe 4 or 5 months after, and I found the box for a whopping $10. So at this point, I'm like, sweet, $10 for the box, $25 for the cart, we're at $35, kick ass. But then I got even luckier. I found online a place that was selling the registration card, which I didn't care that much about, but sure, and the manual for another 20 smackers. So at this point, we're up to $55 for a almost complete, 100% complete copy of The Punisher. So at that point, we, you know, you'd think at this point you're done. But actually what's cool was The Punisher had a little extra pack-in called the, my mind here, had an extra pack-in, I'm blanking hard right now. It had a tattoo, a temporary tattoo, and I got this, somebody had a bunch of these overstocked for $13 a piece. So I bought one so I could have a complete one. So at this point, we're at $68. And that was my complete one. And at the time, it was about $150 for a complete copy. Maybe $180 at the maximum for maybe something like this complete. The last one that sold like this, now mine's in a little worse shape than the other guys, sold for about $380. Which sucks because it's cool they made a port of The Punisher for Genesis, but it's not that good. As Nefarious Wes talks about in his video, it's just not that fun. Like, well, I should say, like, it's a decent beat 'em up, but it's it's not nearly as good as the official original arcade version that Capcom put out. Cool that Capcom was putting a lot of effort into Genesis at this point because they'd done like Mega Man the Wily Wars and Street Fighter 2. They'd seen the, you know, profitability of doing games with Sega. It's just unfortunate the port job they did for this was not quite up to snuff. Still fun, but for the prices it goes for now, I don't know if it's really worth that kind of thing. I'm about to say they're about to re-release it in the arcade 1-up with like the Marvel fighting games, which is kind of cool in the arcade form. I don't know if it's worth that much money either, but yeah. So one of the cooler things that I had. And then finally, this is the one that Hungry Gorilla is playing currently on Twitch right now as of this video. But this is one of the other big one, Crusader of Senti, a super release from the boys at Atlas. At this point, Atlas was starting to come around. I think this is the only game that Atlas put out on the Sega Genesis officially. I do not have the really expensive hint book that you could mail order. I'm assuming it was a mail order, unless it wasn't. I don't know. Again, things that are on documents that we'll never know. But this is basically a Zelda-esque action RPG. It's fun. There's this whole element of transforming into different animals. That's kind of cool. It's a bit of a slow burn of a game, but it has some great boss fights. It has some really good tunes. You know, it is a later Sega Genesis release, even in Japan. And I love the art style of it a bunch. And it has some fun, quirky translations to it. Not too far removed from the working design era of translations and stuff. But I haven't really played it too much in terms of like really going too deep. I think I put about 4 or 5 hours into it when I finally got it. This one, you know, $400 to $500, which has been what it's been going for a while now. When I bought it, I actually bought it from a game store that I was really close with. They let me do installments, so I think I paid $250 for mine. No, I paid $275 for mine over like 3 paychecks. It was really cool of them to let me do it like that, because they totally could have done it differently. Yeah, no, it's a great game. Well, it's a good game. It's a pretty solid game. I wish it didn't go for as much as it does, and I was really pulling for this to end up in the Sega Genesis collection, but unfortunately it never did. So, you know, maybe in the future we'll see it more properly, but we'll have to see in the future what happens. But yeah, so those are my 5 most expensive. I know this was not the most well-produced video in the world, but I wanted to just do something, maybe get back in the swing of things, so that maybe, you know, when I'm done doing this Game Gear Gauntlet on Twitch, which, you know, again, check it out, it'll be down there in the links, as it always is back in the day. It feels weird. It feels so weird. We're pushing through every Game Gear game, and I'd love to do some stuff on YouTube about all the great Game Gear games that basically no one has talked about on this site somehow. But again, if you there's gonna be links to like Nefarious, who was the one who did the original video that we're responding to, and to some of the old and new people that we mentioned in here, just so, you know, for some reason you pop in here and you don't check out any of their content, you can absolutely do that. But yeah, there's gonna be just a hard cut ending, you know, I didn't want to do anything but fluff. I just wanted to have some fun and do another one of these, so it's kind of fun going down a little bit of memory lane. So you guys are still out there, hope you guys are doing well, and who knows, maybe you'll see me again soon.